Hey, that's right, Nick Dutch back on the camera yet again. How's it going? Green tea, man. Cool. Just want to talk today about the dangers of thinking too much in terms of all the New Age stuff. Because there's all kinds of intellectual dangers associated with getting involved with the occult and New Age and all the rest of that kind of stuff. What I mean when I say intellectual dangers, I'm talking about people seriously jumping to conclusions and making themselves think themselves into various different stages. If you consider the occult as being like a religious practice or a set of religious practices, it revolves around personal experiences and enjoying personal experiences and trying to build up ideas about the way the world works through personal experiences. So it's like a bottom-up way of looking at the world, okay? Trying to piece little bits here, there and everywhere together and then building up your own understanding of what you think is spiritually real or, true, basically. However, individuals tend to move down little passages of thinking. Either they will look at things that have been spoken about by other people, such as ghosts or past lives and the rest of that, and think that, yeah, this tiny little experience that they had is proof of this much greater reality, and it's actually 110% true. But that's bullshit, basically. Your little experience proves you've had a little experience, a very interesting little experience, a very peculiar or weird little experience, but still just a little experience. And people have got to start seeing things in a much more realistic light. But unfortunately, people in this movement, in the New Age world, don't always do that. With orthodox religions, the information is laid down there. Okay, this is what you got to think. This is what you got to believe. This is what you got to accept. This is what you got to do. These are the this is the ceremonies you got to perform, and all the rest of that. It's all laid down. But in the new spiritual movements, that isn't the case at all. There are some groups who try to do that, but there's some issues with that. Issues of personal freedom. Issues of people trying to become cult leaders, and all that kind of jazz. So, is it all that good? Basically, I think that's a bit of a grey area. Probably grey on the side of the dark, I personally think. But what about the individuals who are just trying to get little personal experiences and trying to build up their understanding of life from there? Surely that's harmless. Well, again, yes and no. There was one individual who I used to know, and he developed beliefs. Very powerful beliefs on the basis of not all that much in the way of experience. He believed very strongly, and as if it was 100% fact, that he was the reincarnation of someone famous. Okay, there's lots of people who think that, so what's so harmful about that? Well, I think it's the way that he came to it. It's just like an idea popped into his head when he was doing a meditation, and therefore that is concrete evidence, not an interesting experience giving him an opportunity to contemplate something, but just concrete evidence, which is obviously a completely different thing than just a little bit of information or a little experience that he can use to just think more about his own life, but concrete evidence that he was the direct reincarnation of someone famous. That's cognitively and intellectually not very strong. He did more meditation, and he had even more strange experiences, and in one of them he believed he had reached something which he called Godhead. So at that point this guy tried to convince me that he was this highly evolved spiritual being. He pushed trolleys for a living, okay? That's what he did. He pushed supermarket trolleys for a living. And he'd used this status that he had given himself as, basically God, to bully me about. Which is, completely and utterly wrong. But this is the mindset that he had on the basis of taking these little experiences and blowing them up big time into being something really amazing. Now, I've had some mind-blowing experiences with meditation, ritual activity, prayerful activity, and all the rest of that. But I never quite went to that, that level and that extreme. But this guy, he kind of cognitively went a little further, and a little further, and a little further, because he felt like if these little things were true, then the next thing must be true. All of them must be true. He started to believe that all science fiction was in fact the memory of past lives on other planets. Which means he's taking anything that I've ever done and he's like gone beyond kooky. Okay, this guy is 2 sandwiches short of a picnic. And he read in one science fiction book of someone who had like visualized their body disintegrating and reassembling in a different location, and he started to believe he could teleport, physically teleport. If you're not laughing by now, I mean, bloody hell, you should be. And he told me he tried this at one time, lying down on his bed and visualizing his body disintegrating and reassembling elsewhere. And I asked him, was he surprised when it didn't work? And he said, yes. He was actually surprised that he did not teleport to another location as a result of a visualization exercise. I mean, seriously, this guy was the pagan equivalent of Venom Fang X. I'm telling you, he was sick. And when he did something like watching Star Trek, he treated that almost as if it was going to church, alright? Because he thought that Jean-Luc Picard or whatever it was actually ministering to his soul and telling him more about his past life, in which he was on some peculiar planet where sexual intercourse involved 6 people, not just 2. I mean, this is the danger of not being well grounded in thinking, thought, rationality and reasoning prior to actually getting involved with anything within the New Age. It seriously is. You've got to be someone who can actually think, alright, and not think yourself into the grave, if you get my drift. Because there are people like that out there in the world. And they think that they have authority over you. And they will try and affect your life in one way or another. Okay, so I'm basically just telling you this stuff, not just for shits and giggles, but because there's a serious message there. There are people out there in the world who didn't learn how to think first prior to getting involved in all the occult, New Age, weird stuff. And they're mentally unstable and they are dangerous. And I just want you guys to look after yourself, because all of you subscribers and viewers, basically I feel for every single one of you, okay? Play it cool. Nick Dutch signing out for now.